All right. So I want to welcome everybody to the 2022 Adult 18 and Over District Championship Captains Meeting. First, let me say a big thank you to all of you guys that are captains, that are out there with the players, and you're playing and you're keeping our leagues going. We really do appreciate it. We know that it's difficult. We know that it's been a few rough years with COVID and some other things. So we appreciate all your hard work, and we're really glad that you're on, that you support USTA League. I also want to say thank you to the staff members that are on this call. You guys have been great and tremendously helpful to me, and also our site directors, our sites. I know Karen's on here from Enfield, and I'm sure we've got some others that are actually hosting our championships in Davie. So we really appreciate you guys too, because if we didn't have the locations, we couldn't run the programs either. So thanks to everybody for that. And I'm going to jump right in. So when I do this, I think I cannot see you guys. So if you have a question, please just unmute yourself and ask. Well, there is a time at the end that's kind of designated for questions, but this is pretty low key. So if you guys have a question, please ask. If you are new and something is unclear or you don't know what's going on, please go ahead and ask, because there's guaranteed somebody else has the same question. The adult 18 and over championships are a little bit different, definitely different than the mixed in format, of course, and then also in some of the way that we run with regulations. So definitely ask questions. Okay, so let's start the slideshow. All right, can everybody see the blue screen? Is it big enough?
No.
It's not big enough.
No, it's not there at all.
I don't see it.
We're just seeing you.
You're just seeing me. Well, that is not good. Okay. Let's try this. How about that?
Yay.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, technology. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so this is the 2022 USTA League National Championship calendar. You will notice that the adult 18 and overs are split into several different locations, times, depending on NTRP level and gender. All of the adult 18 and over 3-5s, men and women, are September 30th through October 2nd in Surprise, Arizona. The 2-5 women are September 30th through October 2nd in Oklahoma City. The 4-5s, October 7th through 9th in Surprise. And then the 4-0s, 3-0s are in, the 4-0s are in Surprise, Arizona. The 3-0s are in Scottsdale, and that's the weekend of October 14th through 16th. And then the 5-0s are October 21st through 23rd in Scottsdale. Is that all of them? That's all of them. So you guys should have a copy of this calendar in the ShowPad link that I sent out. I will also send out this PDF, I'll send out a PDF of this PowerPoint presentation, so you'll have all of the information on this as well. All right, so
Progress.
I think somebody, I've got some feedback. Oh, there we go. Okay. We have 4 different districts. For those of you that are new, for the adult 18 and over, we split into 4 districts to kind of loosen things up a little bit so that we're not all in one specific place. So the blue district is Eastern Mass and Cape Cod, and Peter Shutter is going to be the tournament director there. The green district is Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, and Davie Maganti is the tournament director there. The red district is Rhode Island, Western Mass, and Eastern Connecticut, and Charlie Michaelman will be your in-charge guy there, and the White District is Northern and Southern Connecticut, and I will be the tournament director for that location. So those are our email addresses on there, and we can also get you the phone numbers as well. And you should all know your locations and know the phone. You can grab the phone numbers of the sites that you're at so that you can call them if you need anything. Some of our locations, the cell service is not great, so it would be helpful to have the phone number of the club that you're going to be playing at in case you need to get a hold of somebody and the cell service is not working.
Christy, can I just make one quick suggestion for when you send out the schedules, since each one, excuse me, appears on its own sheet with a glossary of the locations, just to include the addresses of the clubs?
On that sheet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that possible? It just makes it easier to sort of get everybody all herded together.
Okay, yeah, we can make that change. Okay, so I just want to hit some regulation highlights. For those of you that are returning, it's the same thing. For those of you that are new, these are some pretty strict regulation highlights that we have. It keeps our tournaments running smoothly, keeps everything as on time as we possibly can. For check-in, before your first match, whether that's Friday at 3, Saturday at noon, whatever your first match is, please check in 45 minutes prior to that. That way we can give you your player gifts. We give you your match lineup cards that are blank. It gives you some time to fill those out and still get them back to us and have 30 minutes left, because we need those lineups 30 minutes prior to your match start. So we can check against rosters and make sure that everybody's eligible, make sure that everything's on the is all set. So we need rosters 30 minutes. So before the first match only check in 45 minutes, and then the rest of them we need lineups 30 minutes early. You can go out as early as 30 minutes early, so make sure your players are there, they've got their shoes on, their rackets aren't in their car, they are ready to play 30 minutes prior to the match.
Christy, does that apply to the first match of the day?
So the first match of the day, we need your lineups. We do need your lineups in 30 minutes early. What we try to do is start getting teams out so that you start your warm up 10 minutes early. So you actually start playing on, like if their first match is 8 o'clock, so that you actually start playing at 8, so your warm up would be from 7:50 to 8. So that's kind of what we try to do on the first one. The rest of them, if we're running early, we can put you out 30 minutes early on the court. That's a good question. We do have that a lot, but make sure your players on that first match of the day are ready to go before the time. All players must provide a government issued ID prior to playing. So when we call your match, they'll come up, they'll meet their opponents, they'll show your site director or your site staff a government issued ID. That can be a driver's license, it can be an ID card, it can be a passport, something that has a photo and a name, and we check those off. There's no coaching of any kind. So if you're watching from the sidelines, cheer for them, yell for them, but no, way to move your feet, or good job, hitting to their backhand all the time. Also, so you guys know, and tell your players, please, if they have a problem on the court, give them 45 seconds, maybe a minute to work it out. If they can't work it out, send one person, leave rackets on the court, send one person straight to the tournament desk to ask the tournament desk for help. They can't talk to you along the way. They can't ask, you can't ask them how they're doing. They need to go straight to the tournament desk, because any of that can be considered coaching. If they forgot water, they need to come to us at the tournament desk and ask to get water. They can't signal to you at the windows that they need water. So please let them know there's no coaching of any kind, and any communication with other courts or with anybody in the lobby area or the viewing area is considered coaching, even if it's just, I need a water or I need a banana.
Christy, is that one person total or one person from each side, from each team?
Usually just one person total. Yeah. Yeah, and this is something that we do we don't want you to spend a ton of time if there's some kind of confusion, if there's about the rules or about your score. We also don't want it to escalate if there happens to be any animosity. We definitely want to make sure that somebody from the site and from the tournament staff is able to help you and get things moving back again. So please just have the players come straight to the tournament desk and chat with us. We're more than happy to help resolve anything. We are playing round robin format. So everybody's playing everybody. We try to do 4-team flights as much as possible. That wasn't possible in some of our cases this time. But everybody's playing everybody. We play 2 out of 3 regular sets, a 10-point Komen tiebreak in the event of split sets, switch on odd games. There's no time limit here. So you guys are going to play it out. You're with ads. You're going to play until you're done. A 7-point Komen tiebreak at 6-all. Split sets, play the 10-point. But you're not timed at an hour and a half or 2 hours. You play until you're done. 10-minute warm-up includes serves. Also, so the one thing that we also always are kind of trying to get the players to do as soon as they come off the court, bring the ball, use balls. They need to report scores. A player from each team needs to initial the scorecard. And then when all of the lines are played, you guys as captains need to come and check the scores and sign the scorecard. That way you can make sure that the scores have been reported correctly, that who we circled as the winner is correct. And when we put all of that in Tennis Link, that it's correct. Sometimes, especially when it gets closer to the end and people are celebrating, they forget to come report the scores. So please just remind your players that we need to put those things in Tennis Link as quickly as possible. So they'll just come up and sign, initial and sign.
Christy,
Yeah.
This is Lorena Coffin here. I just had a question. Do you, we have a split site on one of our match days with a very close, between when you estimate a match to end and the next one to start. Do you notify the other team? I just don't want anything to, you're supposed to be there with their lineup a half an hour beforehand and players need to be there. Because we're going to be in one town starting at 10, hopefully the match will be over at noon, but we're supposed to be at another town nearby, but it's also Portland in the summer, same day as Beach to Beacon road race. We have to be in another town nearby, but I don't know if a half an hour is enough time to be there by 12:30. And I just want to make sure the other site director and the other team knows that we're coming as soon as we can. So there's not an issue about, oh, you were here late, you lose a game or whatever. I just want to make sure that we're okay with that, just how that was scheduled.
So is that the same team that's in 2 sites, or is that 2 different teams?
No, my team is the only team that has a split site.
Okay, just make sure that you communicate with Davy on that. Davy Maganti, she's the tournament director, so that she knows where you guys are at and what's going on. And we can talk a little bit more offline too if you have questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what we consider our championships are considered no default championships. That means everybody needs to have all 5 lines every time you play. So 2 singles, 3 doubles. If an unintended default occurs, which means you're there and one of your players for whatever reason doesn't show up, they trip and stub their toe and they can't make it, we do default from the lowest up, so third doubles up. What happens if that happens, if you get a line default, any matches you have played previously and any matches you will play in the future, that line is also defaulted for 6, and it would be 6-0, 6-0 for the opponents for anything you had already played. That way, one of the teams does not have a mathematical advantage having received a default than the other. That's why we definitely, no known defaults. We try to make sure that everybody going in has all the lines and that we can go, but sometimes things do happen. So just know that if you default the line, it defaults all the way through the round robin. Now, if you advance to playoffs, the line is reset because that round robin is over and you don't carry a default into any of the playoff portion of the tournament. Again, players need to be present and ready 30 minutes early. Yeah, go ahead.
I did have a question. So we have a choice between third doubles and second singles, right? For the default.
Yes, yes. Yes. So just so you guys know too, if players are shared between NTRP levels, we don't make accommodations for scheduling. So please plan your players out accordingly. The reason that we have that rule is that it's difficult to accommodate even a few. It's impossible to accommodate everybody that needs help. And so in order to not give anybody a special advantage, we don't take any special requests or special accommodations for shared players. So try to make sure that all of your players are at the correct sites if you share them with other teams, or if you captain more than one NTRP level with the same players. All right. Okay, so I'm going to turn this one over to Peter Shutter about the 3-strike disqualification. He explains it a lot better than I do. So I'm going to turn it over to Pete.
Okay, 3-strike disqualifications are based, on the algorithm after every match. What happens during the weekend, we will run the 3-strike report on a regular basis, typically about every 15 minutes, half an hour. If somebody receives their 3rd strike, we will notify the tournament director, and if we have the phone number, the site director, so that they can inform the captain and the player. All the documentation associated with that stuff would be put together and emailed typically within half an hour. But we want people to know as quickly as possible, since the player would not be eligible to play any more matches. In case you're planning on that player, you need to, get someone else. In addition to that, if there was a delay, the problem being where we don't want someone to have 2 matches reversed when, we knew they were already DQ'd. So any strikes during the season count as part of 3-strike DQ. If a 3-strike DQ occurs during round robin play, all matches played during that round robin are reversed. If it was, part of a semifinal or a final, it's only that match that gets reversed. So that's the 3-strike DQ. Any questions?
Peter, I have a question. It's Maria DeFebvre. With respect to if somebody gets a strike during the season, they would have already been notified so that they know going in that they already have a strike against them, right?
No.
No. Oh.
No, we've never done that. I'm surprised, Maria. No, nobody. The strikes are nobody is notified if they receive the strike.
So Pete, we've got some new people on, and there's a couple of questions in the chat. Could you explain a little bit more what is the definition of a strike and what it means for the newer people?
After every match at night, a dynamic rating is calculated for the player. That dynamic rating, evaluates what level the player, performed for that match. If the player performed at a level above the NTRP rating that they're playing at, there's a thing called significantly out of level. And so if the evaluation says they played that match significantly out of level, then they generate a strike. And I noticed a comment only applies to self-rated and appeal players. That is absolutely correct. Computer-rated players by national regulation are not subject to 3-strike disqualification.
So does anybody have any other questions about the 3-strike DQs? For those of you, especially that are new, if you've got self-rated players, how can you find out if you have a strike on you?
What I would tell you is, first of all, there is no way to find out if you have a strike. There are only, 2 people in the section that even have access to that information. And that information is not shared.
All right.
Peter, I do have one question regarding the strikes, and that's whether or not there's a way to appeal a strike against a player. For instance, if the player that they were playing was injured and they had a strong NTPR rating, that was the last match that they played for the season because they realized that they could not continue playing the season. Does that factor in at all to the dynamic ratings or no?
There is no way to factor in whether a person got injured or anything like that. That would not, the only way to appeal a strike, and it is the only way, is if the information in the system used to calculate the dynamic for the match is not correct. Meaning the scores were wrong, who was declared the winner was wrong, or the names entered, one or more of the names entered were wrong. If none of those situations exist, then there is no appeal.
Thank you.
Yep.
If a player on your team has moved up a level during the season, are they ineligible for districts? If a self-rated player gets a promotion, that is correct. They cannot play on that team. They cannot play lower than their NTRP level. So if they were 3-5 playing on a 4-0 team and they got bumped to a 4-0, that's fine because they were already on a 4-0 team. But if they were a 3-5 on a 3-5 team and got bumped to 4-0, they cannot play. Yes, the C means computer rated. So everybody that has when you look on your Tennis Link page, that's your personal page, right by your NTRP level, it'll have a letter. And C means computer rated, S is self-rated, A is appeal, M is mixed only, but you guys wouldn't have that for adult league. I think those are the ones that are shown on the front end. So, all right. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about medical timeouts, about the heat, about playing indoors in the heat, and just kind of make sure that everybody's safe out there. This wording came directly from Friend at Court, which is in a link in the ShowPad link that I sent to you guys. I pulled it out because it's kind of hard to find. Friend at Court's got a lot of pages. Technically, the way medical timeouts work, we're not going to have officials at this championship, so you're going to have to use your own judgment. You have a few minutes for an evaluation, and then once medical treatment starts, you have 3 minutes. So for a total, there's no more than a maximum of 15 minutes. Typically, this really is indicating that we have athletic trainers or we have a doctor on site, and the doctor looks at you, evaluates you, and then the second that they touch you for whatever that treatment is, then the 3 minutes starts. So just keep in mind with medical timeouts that it's a maximum of 15 minutes. That doesn't mean if if you stub your toe, you can sit there for 15 minutes. We try to go by some of the smaller injuries. We go by the 3-minute rule. Bleeding is a little bit different because obviously we have to clean up the court and take care of contaminated items and make sure that everything is sanitary again. And then the medical conditions include injury, illness, heat-related, and cramping. So the other issue with medical timeouts is if you take a medical timeout for cramping in your right calf, cramping is cramping. You cannot take another medical timeout for cramping in your left calf. So just be aware. It's not going to be super hot this weekend. It's not going to be cool either. Please make sure your players are hydrated. Make sure that they start hydrating this early, like today, tomorrow. Just bringing a bunch of water on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is not going to get them hydrated. They need to start early. If it's extremely hot on the switchovers, the site directors have the option of allowing a little bit more time in between. That's a site director decision to make since it's different than what the friend at court leaves us for timeouts on switchovers. Make sure that you've got snacks in your bag, some sugar in case you have low blood sugar. We want to make sure that everybody is safe out there, and we are very aware of the heat and how it kind of affects everybody, especially when you're playing more than once in a day. So
Christy, just to clarify, just because I know that this had happened pre-COVID, very warm conditions inside, and an opponent was taking a drink break after every game. Is that considered stalling if it's very warm, or is that something that's allowed? They weren't doing it just on the changeovers.
When it's really hot like that, and because these aren't timed matches, you're not going to stall until the time is done and the match is over. So if it's really hot, check with your site director, make sure that they okay it if somebody wants to take a drink, but they can't sit down, hang out, put a towel over their face, be there. I mean, grab a drink, get back on the court. I definitely don't want anybody getting sick because they don't have enough water.
Right, it just turned into a situation where someone was not getting a drink, waiting for this person to rehydrate, sit, wipe off, because they're trying to keep the game moving. So I just want to know if that's considered stalling. If the other, do you know what I'm saying? It's not just getting a quick sip. I'm just wondering.
Right. If it becomes egregious, then you put your racket down on the court and go up to the tournament desk and talk to the site director and have somebody come out on court and watch a few games and move things along.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I could just say one thing, Christy, the rules are 20 seconds between points and 90 seconds between games. And, that's actually quite a bit of time. So, I think sometimes when we want things to move along, we underestimate just how much time 20 seconds really is. Having been at a lot of championships and watched people that appeared to be going slow and used a stopwatch, very few of them ever ended up actually exceeding that time period. Some did, needed to talk to them, but for the most part, that really seems to provide enough time.
Yeah, that's good to know. I feel like the 90 seconds sometimes is a long time.
That's on a changeover though.
On the changeovers, yes.
Right,
And
so
after,
if it's
so
not a changeover and someone's taking 90 seconds, then it does
It's-
seem, yeah.
too much.
Yep.
There's also, you switch sides after the first game. There's not a 90-second break after the first game. I also, somebody put in the chat about heat when it's hot outside, and we have been in contact with National trying to get some guidance on indoor play and heat, and we're working some things out with them. So far, we have not had to stop play at all. This weekend, it doesn't look like it's going to be in the hundreds, so cross our fingers that we keep that the whole season. But we are going to take into consideration and make some provisions. And in those cases, it could be going to shorter sets. It could be going to pro sets. Some of those things that as a tournament, we have the option to do. I don't want to do that because I know it takes away from the championship experience, but I also don't want anybody getting sick. So we do keep track of it. That we also have a couple of courts that get a little bit slippery when it's hot and humid outside. So we also take those into consideration if we need to shut down courts and move things in. So if that's the case, then some of the schedules might change time frame wise. Again, we're trying not to do that, but I don't want somebody out there ice skating and breaking their leg. So. All right. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the national suspension points system. This is new as of the beginning of the championship year this year, September 1st of 2022. Any code violations from site directors, tournament directors, or tournament staff for unsportsmanlike conduct, throwing your racket, hitting a ball into the other side, anything that can be considered unsportsmanlike conduct that deems a code violation automatically gets suspension points. The suspension points can go from 1 to 17. Depending on the egregiousness of it. And those points now carry national weight. So if you have 1 point for any kind of a code violation or grievance during the year, that point goes with you to any other section. So what they did was they wanted to make sure that if somebody gets suspended, which means that's between 10 and 17 points in a rolling 12-month period. Then if you're suspended in New England, you cannot go to Florida and play. You are also suspended in Florida. Goes across the entire country. So those stay with you. We're going to work with the staff. We don't typically have a lot of trouble with this, with bad attitudes and bad sportsmanship, but I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware that code violations come with them. So if for some reason a tournament director sees you break your racket, that's going to be a code violation and you're going to get points. Any grievances that are upheld during the championship season or during the regular season also result in national suspension points, and whatever the grievance committee deems appropriate are the number of points that are added to your account. So does that make sense? Does anybody have any question about the national suspension point system? We're gonna not have any code violations at all for the whole rest of the season. Okay, so here's the fun stuff. I was talking to James. Many of you know James in our marketing department. He clearly cannot be at all 17 sites. And he really would like to support USTA League in the championships in a better way, just more out there about league. So he said, if you guys are taking pictures, or if anybody on your team is taking pictures, whether they're team pictures or on the court pictures or fun things that you guys are doing, if you will send them directly on the Instagram page via direct message to USTA New England's Instagram, they're going to monitor all weekend and try to get some of those pictures and stories up on social. So if you have a picture and tell them a little story, hopefully it'll get tagged out on social and we'll get more information and more fun things about league out there. if you send them photos, for some reason now iPhone and Android have started putting the photos in this format called HEIC. They're really hard for other people to get and look at. So there's a link on there on how to change your photos from HEIC to JPEG. It's just a different format. So does anybody have any questions about photos? I'm really excited because I really we like to know who wins and who goes, but I also like to know the stories behind why you captain and who the friends are and what fun things did you do. And there's just so much more to league than the play. And that's kind of what I would really like to start getting out there more on our social and in our stories with the marketing department. All right. Okay, a few FAQs. This goes for all of the locations. There are no courts that will be available for practice before or during the championship. So starting Friday, midnight 01, you cannot use the courts at the facility for practice. So you can find other facilities, public parks, but please don't rent courts. Don't ask to rent courts. It gives an unfair advantage for practice for those teams that don't have the ability to practice in the facility, since we don't have official practice facilities. Bathrooms and showers are open and available. At this time, no COVID protocols are in place. Masks are always optional on and off the court. Please be respectful to your fellow players, whether they wear masks or whether they don't wear masks. We just want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and feels safe. Please bring plenty of water and snacks with you. Water only allowed on court, the snacks in your bag. When I say water only, I mean, please don't bring red Gatorade, because if it spills, it stains the courts and then the clubs get a little upset with us. So please try water.
Can you bring some sort of Gatorade or some sort of sports drink, or are those completely not allowed?
Just clear, if you can bring clear liquids, that would be great. Yeah. Alcohol is not allowed in many of the clubs. A lot of our clubs have liquor licenses of their own, and so they don't want you to bring your own liquor in there. A few do allow it, so please call the club ahead of time. I'm going to leave that responsibility to you guys as captains. If you happen to want to bring beer or cooler, is to actually call the club staff and ask them. Most of our site directors they're not necessarily affiliated with club staff at the club that they're at, so they probably will not know the answer to that question. And the local league coordinators don't keep that information on all of the clubs. So just know that there are many, many clubs where alcohol is not allowed. So please be respectful of that. And then, do we have any other questions? That's the end of what I have.
I had one quick question about, you said that there are no officials available. Is it possible to call for a line judge? This came up last year with one of my teams, and she went to the desk and was told that there was no one available, even though there were 3 people sitting there.
So yeah, this year, so yes, we would like, if you come up to the tournament desk, somebody will come out onto the court, unless for some unforeseen reason we've got people out on all the courts and run out of staff. I don't foresee that being an issue, but somebody will go monitor a court for a few games.
But what I would say is that doesn't necessarily mean someone from the tournament desk goes down, because if you don't have someone available, we might get a volunteer from the crowd, explain to them what their criteria is. And if you're talking about calls, the people on the court are still responsible for making the calls. And if there's a question, the person that went down to the court can be asked. And if they saw it, their answer is final. If they didn't see it, then whatever the call was stands.
So we had a question about the tiebreak procedure. If your game count in a set is 6-all, you also play a Komen tiebreak. Singles and doubles plays Komen. If you split sets, it's a 10-point Komen tiebreak. At 6-all, it's a 7-point, but the format of the Komen is the same. And then there's a link to the Komen tiebreak in one of the emails, but I'll also make sure that you guys have Komen documentation so that you can have it with you if you want to print it out on court. So if your players have any question, if they're not used to using it or they don't know it, they can refer to that. Also, if you have trouble in a tiebreak, same thing. Please put your racket down on the court and come up to the tournament desk. We want to make sure that everybody is. Sometimes what happens is everybody, you play it out and come up to the desk and say, "Is this what we should have done?" And I appreciate very much everybody trying to keep things running and trying to keep it on time and trying to make those decisions. But if there's truly an issue and truly some questions about how things are handled, please feel free to come to the tournament desk. That is why we are there. We are there to help make sure that it's fair and make sure that everybody plays by the rules and that everybody has a good experience while they play.
Hi, Christy. I have a question for you. Do you have to have played singles during the regular season to play singles or doubles to play doubles, or can you mix and match?
You can mix and match.
Thank you.
Yep, you can mix and match. All right, here we go. Okay, so these are important links for you guys. There is a captain's Facebook page that I post stuff. We post things all throughout the year. There's a specific championship Facebook page that I've been trying to keep information on as much as possible. The link for the documents with the regulations, the schedules, the calendars, all these are different links for each one: blue, green, red, and white. We have, an online store, and on that online store we have district and section championship t-shirts that you can purchase. There's a lot of other merchandise on there as well. There are mugs and there's drinkware and sweatshirts. 10% of all purchases from that store are returned back to our USTA, the New England Tennis and Education Foundation, which goes to support our NJTLs and our under-supported communities. And then I provided a link for that website as well. So please support them. If you want team t-shirts, the online store can make those for you. They have all of our marketing parameters and they can handle all of that if you guys want to buy team t-shirts as well. Their turnaround time's not too quick. So if you know you're going to want it for nationals, make sure that you hop on fairly quickly. So do we have questions in the chat?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
If a person drinks water with it's like 16 ounces of water to 1 ounce of lemon juice for medical reasons, is that permissible or not?
Yeah, that's fine. The biggest issue, Betsy, that we've been having is colored drinks getting spilled on courts and the courts getting stained.
Okay.
Yeah. So the lemon juice is clear enough. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Christy, can you send those links to us, or what's the address to get to those links?
So I'm going to send all this out to you guys in the morning when I send out the recording, so you guys will have it. Yeah, I definitely want you guys to have all the links. Even in the earlier in the presentation, there are hyperlinks into the regulations so that you have those as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you going to be sending these slides to us as well?
Yeah. I will. Yeah, bananas are fine. Just really, carry in, carry out. Just be respectful of the clubs and know that we need to make sure that we keep them pristine. They really are generous in giving us full weekends of court time that they don't have to give us, and we want to make sure that we leave their clubs better than we found it.
Christy, I had one final question, and it's something that came up last year when I was playing. When we went out on court, noticed that the net looked a little high, and it literally took like 20 minutes for somebody to find a net measure. And
Okay,
it was in fact considerably higher than it should have been. And the woman kept telling me, but it's, and she was like, kept saying, but it's 30 some odd inches. I was like, yes, but that's not the right height that it's supposed to be. And it sort of went back and forth. It would be helpful if the people at the desk kind of knew this stuff.
yes, I'll make sure that everybody, every site has a measuring tape. I can definitely do that. Yeah, 36 inches in the middle. All right, did I miss anything in the chat? Yes, so to make it to be qualified for the district championship, players have to have 2 matches. 1 default does count. So they have to play 1 and default, or 2 played 2 as the minimum. They of course could play a whole lot more if they wanted. If they had.
Is there a different metric for self-rated players though?
Not for our championships, there is for nationals. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Oh, you gotta see my little Let's Tennis. Okay, so does anybody have any last questions? You know, we're gonna send this recording out. So again, chances are if you have a question, that somebody that's watching the recording or somebody that's on this recording probably has the same question. So please feel free to ask it. We wanna make sure that everybody's covered.
So 2 matches in the season to qualify for districts, and then 3 matches, including 1 at districts to qualify for sectionals, correct?
No, so sectionals is also 2 matches, 1 default counts, and you don't have to play districts to play sectionals, and you don't have to play districts or sectionals to play nationals, as long as you have enough matches to qualify for nationals. You do not have to play districts or sectionals.
My
Okay, thank you.
understanding is the default wouldn't count for nationals. When we went way back when, you needed to have played 3 matches. Unless it's
Nationals
changed.
is 3 matches, one of which may be a default for computer-rated players.
Okay.
For self-rated and appealed players, it is 4 matches, none of which can be a default. It's on the inside back cover of the national regulations. They, you know, so if you wanted to just feel comfortable that you got it right in your hand, you can, you know, look those up online, and it'll say the exact same thing inside back cover of the national regulations.
And I do send out, as a part of the links to you guys, the national regulations are included in that link. Oh, we've got a correction. Continuous play. The time between points is 25 seconds. Okay, 25 seconds. That's good, because I'm kind of slow.
What is the rule at championships for going to the bathroom between sets?
So this is also in the front of court, in the medical timeout part. There's a little bit about going to the bathroom. It's a little vague, I'm going to be honest. It says I don't remember what the exact words. It's an appropriate amount of time. I don't think appropriate's the right word, but they don't put a time limit on, because a lot of times in tournaments, the bathroom is a really long way from the court. So they don't want to say 2 minutes if it's a 3-minute walk. So you can go to the bathroom in between sets. You may not talk to anybody. You may not have any conversations with a teammate, a friend at all. All of that is considered coaching, but go, you know, do what you need to do and go back on court. If it becomes egregious that you're just hanging out in the bathroom for 20 minutes, we're probably going to kick you back onto the court. All right. Oh yeah, there are no regulations right now for COVID about friends and family. So bring everybody, have them come cheer for you. no air horns, pom-poms, but no air horns. All right. Anybody got anything else? Okay, very good. I am going to get this recording out to you guys in the morning, again, with the PowerPoint presentation with all the links. There were a couple of things in the chat, the flow chart for the tie breaks. I got that written. I have that written down. I'm going to add the addresses to the PDFs on the score sheet. I mean, on the flight breakdowns, so that you guys will have those at your fingertips. And you know, you'll have all of our contact information when the PowerPoint comes out, and you can get to us via email, call us. You know, we want to make sure you guys have a great championship and have a really great time. So we appreciate it very much. And thanks for stopping by on a Monday.
Christy, I have one more question.
Okay.
During the regular season, if somebody is injured during the warm-up, you can substitute if there's another player available. Does that also apply?
Yes, as long as it's during the warm-up. Yep, that is correct. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.